Ban dang qui goi van xin motvu tru cam lang, ma kong beat, ma angwan, gwin nong qua min de by dan cap. Hey zem den koi video de lat te viu quap the ky nai, dap nat buk tuong lua ao on va jayat lai nai vang tom lim. On goi soang day. Kep qua lai, tin tom mot chut va doi dien tang voi su that nai kung tua. De bao geo, veo mot dem kuya tin mit, hey jo mot bui lo trang niam mit mukoi hong, on chap te lai, doc het ruat gonda thought len tu, hey men, hey mot tiang suang ca. Va roi dot nin kem thay choi voi tot du chua. Cam giak du jong het nu vik on vua gom het hai vong nam mot han de suang tsai jing sao home. Dung chan chan o du, ven tai len, moi ko cho doi mot su hoi dap. En Hong Kong ko gica. Chi ko mot koang kong lang den lan leo, ton nan, mot su trong rong kong lo dut ngot xe tok long gup. Su hut hang du ton bao den muc no bop and get ca hoi tho qua on keen on nan ra min dang bo vo va ko doc den kung cuc jua vu tru nai. At Vuong Yangquank 07 men chow qui 6 va kak ban. Nu on the tung nem traits I dem toi tam du qua lin han, nu on dang by su hoa I gi tsao xe tom kan den muc mu on buong sui, ti video nai sin ra la de dan cho on Hey nan nut dang ky ken nai bai geo de dong han kung chung tua la tran and hung bi mat sao tam not, va tip them dong luk cho ken ra mat and hung flock fim rung dong tom tri nu the nai trong tuong lai. Quay tiro lai voi su lang du, tua beat trong koan kok bi bang I, on bat dao tu de doa chin min. Mot su ha I gi dang gat treo len trong ko hong, ko fi du min chua du ton tom. Ko fi du mo toi loi min trot mang vac de keen on tren quay lung. Hey tat ca and hung jiao ly, duk tin bao nam qua rot kuok chi lai and hung loi. Chot loi dao moi qua motvo kich win hok. Dung doi long noa, sai lo hong to dung jua tom han ma kong mot by jong dao ly mui man now ko the lap day I la Thursday ma tat ca chung ta du dang fi on lung gan chiu. No nam trick. No bon rut sin luke va long tu ton qua on moi gay. En hung ko on hey tu trake min. Hey de toi noi cho on ne mot su that ton kok, mot ku tat tang veo en hung lo doi gia tau ma ko luas e lam no tung ton bo the gioi quan qua on nai trong dem ne. Sai cam giak trong rong sao xei, su hut hang den tim mat moi kai on ko vuan te cham den dang bi tren, hon ton kong fi loi qua on Kong Phi V on la mot ku toi loi vo phuong q chua he thu di su ton kin. Su that la, on de bai upsot. Mot ku lua the ky, mot vu quap dot tin 6 va ton doc not trong lich su. Nai tu en hung ga foot dao tien buk veo the gioi tom lin nai, on de by tuok dot mat don kek quan trong not qua ban hop dong sin men. On mcu tuong min bo ca ko du de mua v motcu fan miem dat gia not, and hung ku john phuong tau tung ti truong de bi mat len veo va zoa sach tsai, ma ongwan, kot loi dung de kich hot no. Ket qua la on mi by jiam cam trong motifin ban dung Thursday day loi, lin tuc fi tra fi gia han bang mo hoi, noak mat va su so high. Su dut gay tom lin ma on dang fi nai di nai lai moi dem, su lang dang so tu koi tren, chin la di sen qua motvu dan cap lich su duok noi trang hon how dui lap vo boc ton tien va chow siena. Toi ne, chung ta si kong goi de vut v now bang and hung loi in ui sao rome. Chung ta si kong now boc tran sai ho den lua dao nai. Nak nuoi len, hit mot hoi that sao. V and hung gi on sap doi mat se dan sap tone bo and hung lo doi siu rich, dap vo xing zich vo hin de kim kep su tu du lin han qua on sut hung non nam qua. To understand the sheer magnitude of this historical theft we just uncovered, we must first examine the meticulous, cold-blooded architecture of the crime scene where your spiritual autonomy was hijacked. For centuries, you and I have been born into a world where the rules of the spiritual game were already rigged by a cartel of self-appointed middlemen. Think about it with absolute brutal honesty. From the moment we could comprehend the world, we were fed a narrative that the divine, the ultimate creator, the source, the universe, whatever name you wish to give it, was something separate from us. It was placed on an unreachable pedestal, residing in some distant, cloudy stratosphere, utterly inaccessible to the common, flawed human being. We were told that our baseline existence was defective, that we were born stained with an original imperfection, and that the only way to cleanse ourselves and earn a fleeting glance from the divine was to go through their authorized channels. They built magnificent, towering structures of stone and gold, dressed themselves in elaborate robes, and positioned themselves right at the choke point between humanity and the cosmos. They effectively set up a spiritual toll booth. You want peace? Pay the toll in blind obedience. You want salvation from the crushing weight of your own existence? Pay the toll in guilt, in rituals that make no logical sense, and in the complete surrender of your critical thinking. They commodified the soul and turned the pursuit of enlightenment into a transactional nightmare. The reason you feel that agonizing emptiness, that deafening silence when you scream your prayers into the void, is because you are not actually speaking to the universe, you are speaking to the firewall they built to intercept your connection. They convinced us that we needed a translator to speak to the very source that breathed life into our lungs. They painted the cosmos as a judgmental tyrant keeping a meticulous ledger of our petty mistakes, rather than an infinite ocean of consciousness of which we are an integral, inseparable drop. This psychological conditioning is so profound, so deeply embedded in our cultural DNA, that even when we walk away from organized religion, we still carry the ghost of the middleman with us. We seek out gurus, life coaches, mystical crystals, or the next secret manifestation technique, still desperately hoping that someone outside of ourselves holds the key to the locked door inside our own house. We are like amnesiac kings and queens, begging for scraps of bread outside the gates of our own castles. The spiritual disconnect is not a glitch in your soul, it is the intended feature of a system designed to keep you on your knees. A population that realizes its own inherent, untouchable divinity is a population that can no longer be controlled, marketed to, or frightened into submission. The fear of hell, the promise of a conditional heaven, the concept of a punishing higher power, these were never spiritual truths. They were political tools. They were the invisible chains forged in the fires of human greed for power, designed to keep you staring up at the sky in fearful anticipation, completely oblivious to the roaring fire of creation burning fiercely within your own chest. You are not a broken vessel needing their repair, you are the victim of an elaborate illusion designed to blind you to your own overwhelming light. But what exactly was this core mechanism, this ultimate source code, that they so desperately needed to hide from you behind their walls of dogma and fear? The truth, my friends, is so profoundly simple yet so terrifyingly powerful that it threatens to dismantle the very foundation of the society we live in. The stolen source code is the realization of your absolute, unmediated oneness with the universe. You are not merely a creation of the divine, you are an active, breathing extension of it. You are the universe experiencing itself in human form. When the architects of the grand illusion hacked into our collective spiritual consciousness, they deleted the singular line of code that read, "The kingdom is within." They replaced it with a virus of separation. But deep down, beneath the layers of societal conditioning, ancestral trauma, and the daily grind of survival, that original code still hums quietly in your spiritual DNA. Imagine your consciousness as a fractal. In a fractal, every tiny, fragmented piece contains the exact geometric blueprint of the entire massive structure. You are that fractal. The same unfathomable energy that ignited the stars, that pulls the tides, that breathes life into a dormant seed, is the exact same energy firing through the synapses of your brain and beating within your heart. There is no separation. There never was. The void you felt, the chilling silence that made you feel abandoned, was actually a profound misdirection. You were looking through a telescope at the distant stars, searching for a god that was patiently sitting right behind your own eyes, waiting for you to turn the lens inward. The reason your prayers felt like stones dropping into an empty well is that you were projecting your power outward, begging an external entity to grant you what you already possessed. The erased source code is the ancient, suppressed knowledge of direct gnosis, the ability to know the divine not through the dusty pages of a translated text, nor through the theatrical performances of a priest, but through direct, visceral, personal experience. It is the understanding that your physical body is the true temple, and your consciousness is the only altar that matters. When they stole this from us, they didn't just take away our spiritual comfort, they amputated our limitless creative power. We were designed to be co-creators of our reality, bending the quantum field with our focused intent and elevated emotions. Instead, stripped of our source code, we became mere reactive consumers of a reality manufactured by others. We accepted the role of helpless extras in a cosmic play, forgetting that we were the ones who wrote the script. This is the ultimate tragedy of the human condition. We possess an inner technology so advanced, so beautifully complex, that it could heal our bodies, harmonize our societies, and elevate our species to unimaginable heights. Yet, we walk through life operating on a degraded, pirated operating system, plagued by glitches of anxiety, depression, and a haunting sense of unworthiness. The secret they guarded with their lives is that you do not need to earn your divinity. You do not need to be saved. You only need to remember. Knowing what was stolen from you is only the first step. The true, bloody rebellion lies in violently tearing down the firewall they built inside your own mind to reclaim it. This is where the romanticized, incense-burning illusion of spiritual awakening shatters against the hard rock of reality. Waking up is not a peaceful walk through a sunlit meadow of positive affirmations and good vibes. It is a brutal, agonizing process of unlearning. It is the systematic destruction of everything you thought you knew about yourself, your world, and your place in the cosmos. When you finally decide to bypass the middlemen and look directly into the abyss of your own soul, the first thing you will encounter is not God, but your own deeply buried shadows. You will have to face the accumulated debris of a lifetime spent living a lie. The firewall is constructed from your deepest fears, your unhealed traumas, and the false identities you adopted to survive in a disconnected world. To break through, you must be willing to grieve the years you spent begging for salvation from a sky that owed you nothing. You must confront the terrifying realization that if there is no external savior coming to rescue you, there is also no one else to blame for your misery. This is the heavy, suffocating burden of true spiritual adulthood. It requires you to sit alone in the deafening silence that once terrified you, but this time, you do not run. You sit in the dark night of the soul, not as a victim, but as a warrior reclaiming your stolen territory. You begin to strip away the dogmas, the rituals, the shoulds and musts that have been violently grafted onto your psyche. This process feels like dying, because a part of you actually is dying. The conditioned ego, the scared child that desperately wants an authority figure to tell it what is right and wrong, must be allowed to burn in the fire of your emerging awareness. Meditation changes from a desperate plea for peace into a surgical tool, cutting away the necrotic tissue of false beliefs. You start to notice the subtle programming in the language you use, the media you consume, and the relationships you maintain. You realize how much of your daily energy is siphoned off to sustain the very matrix that keeps you imprisoned. Tearing down the firewall means reclaiming your attention, your focus, and your emotional sovereignty. It means learning to trust your own intuition over the loud, chaotic voices of a world that profits from your self-doubt. You will lose friends. You will be misunderstood. You will be called arrogant, lost, or crazy by those who are still fiercely defending the walls of their own prisons. But as you claw your way through the wreckage of your old belief systems, the silence of the void begins to change. It is no longer empty. It begins to hum with the raw, untamed frequency of your authentic self. When that mental firewall finally collapses into dust, you don't just find fleeting peace, you step into the terrifying, magnificent power of your own absolute spiritual sovereignty. This is the moment the trial version of your life forcefully expires, and you finally boot up the full, unrestricted operating system of your soul. You are no longer a beggar knocking on the doors of heaven, you are the master of the house, returning to take your rightful seat at the table. The disconnect that once brought you to your knees in despair is permanently bridged, not by a ladder reaching up to the sky, but by an anchor dropping deep into the core of your own being. Living as a sovereign, awakened soul fundamentally alters the fabric of your reality. You no longer walk through the world with the hunched posture of a sinner seeking redemption. You move with the quiet, unshakable confidence of a being who knows exactly what they are. When you face adversity, heartbreak, or the inevitable tragedies of the human experience, you do not look upward and ask, "Why are you doing this to me?" Instead, you look inward and ask, "What is this teaching me, and how will I use it to expand?" The victim mentality dissolves, replaced by radical, uncompromising accountability. You realize that your mind is the ultimate alchemical crucible. You hold the power to transmute pain into wisdom, fear into courage, and isolation into profound connection. The universe is no longer a separate, silent entity ignoring your cries, it is a living, breathing partner engaged in a constant, intimate dialogue with you through synchronicities, intuition, and the undeniable flow of energy. This reclamation of your soul is not the end of the journey, it is the true beginning. It is the clarion call to stop waiting for a savior and become the beacon of light you were desperately searching for. As you stand fully in your reclaimed power, your very existence becomes an act of profound rebellion against a system that relies on your weakness. You become a living, breathing glitch in their matrix of control. Your healing, your joy, your unshakable inner peace will silently give permission to everyone around you to begin dismantling their own firewalls. This is how we change the world, my friends. Not by fighting the shadows of the old paradigm, but by turning on the blinding light of our reclaimed divinity. We leave the empty, echoing wells behind and become the infinite ocean itself. So, dry your tears, wipe the dust from your knees, and stand up. The long, brutal night of spiritual exile is over. The source code is yours again. Guard it with your life, fiercely nurture it, and let the overwhelming force of your awakened soul burn brightly enough to ignite the entire world. In the end, the ultimate truth of our existence is not found in grand temples, complex rituals, or desperate pleas directed at a distant sky, but within the silent, infinite depths of our own consciousness. For millennia, humanity has been manipulated into believing we are fundamentally broken, exiled from the divine, and entirely dependent on external authorities for our salvation. This grand illusion was deliberately constructed to sever us from our innate spiritual power, reducing us to fearful consumers in a system designed for control. However, the firewall of societal conditioning can never fully erase the profound source code embedded in our spiritual DNA, the unshakable reality that we are not separate from the universe, but the universe itself experiencing human life. Reclaiming this stolen autonomy is not a gentle awakening but a fierce, radical dismantling of deep-seated fears and inherited false identities. It demands radical accountability, urging us to step out of the shadows of victimhood and onto the throne of our own spiritual sovereignty. When we finally strip away the middlemen and confront our own shadows, we unlock our true potential as conscious co-creators of our reality. We cease being beggars at the gates of our own castles and realize we have always held the master key. This reclamation is the ultimate rebellion, a powerful shift from seeking an external savior to embodying the blinding light of our own inherent divinity. By standing fiercely in our authentic truth, we not only heal ourselves but become the catalysts for dismantling the matrix of control, inspiring the rest of the world to awaken. True spiritual power, peace, and salvation can never be outsourced to institutions, gurus, or external entities. The divine is not a distant authority to be feared or appeased, but the very fabric of your own consciousness. The ultimate tragedy is spending a lifetime searching the cosmos for a light that is already burning fiercely within your own chest. When you accept that you are the sole architect of your internal reality, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become a sovereign co-creator. Dismantle the external altar. Stop seeking external validation for your spiritual or personal worth. Whether you are looking to influencers, life coaches, or traditional authority figures for the answer, recognize that they can only point to a door. You are the only one who holds the key to open it. Shift your internal dialogue. When faced with hardship, heartbreak, or failure, immediately stop the victim narrative. Do not ask the void, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, turn inward and ask, "What is this trying to teach me, and how can I use this to expand my own strength?" Practice surgical silence. Change your relationship with quiet time. Instead of using distractions or meditation merely to escape daily stress, use silence to observe your own mind. Actively identify and cut away the programmed fears, the societal shoulds, and the inherited beliefs that do not align with your authentic self. Embrace radical accountability. Accept full responsibility for your emotional state. If you feel disconnected or lost, do not blame the external world. Sit through the uncomfortable darkness of your own shadows, face your unhealed traumas, and consciously choose to rewrite your internal operating system. What is one specific belief, fear, or rule you were taught growing up that you eventually had to unlearn to find your own inner peace? Please share your perspective in the comments section below so our community can read, reflect, and learn from each other's unique journeys. If this message resonated with you, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep producing deep, transformative content like this.